In June 2000, inside the Kremlin, Bill Clinton told Vladimir Putin he was serious about being ready to discuss NATO membership with Russia. Putin replied simply, "I am pleased." Hours later, the offer vanished. What if Russia had joined NATO? Would Ukraine's war exist? Would Europe look different? A fleeting moment of possibility, now a haunting question of history. "25 years ago, in a Kremlin meeting that could have reshaped global history, American President Bill Clinton made an extraordinary offer to Vladimir Putin. Newly declassified documents published by the National Security Archive at George Washington University revealed that on June 4, 2000, Clinton told the Russian leader he was ready to discuss NATO membership for Russia.
From the outset of the NATO enlargement process, I knew that it could be a problem for Russia. I was sensitive to this, and I want it understood that NATO enlargement does not threaten Russia in any way. I am serious about being ready to discuss NATO membership with Russia.
Clinton acknowledged the obstacles ahead, telling Putin,
I recognize that domestic considerations inside Russia will prevent this for now. But over time, Russia should be a part of every organization that holds the civilized world together.
According to the White House minutes, Putin expressed support for the idea, saying,
I am pleased.
Putin had responded when the NATO membership possibility was discussed. However, the moment of opportunity quickly slipped away. Putin later recalled this conversation in his 2024 interview with Tucker Carlson, providing additional context to what happened next.
I asked him, listen, Bill, what do you think if Russia raised the issue of joining NATO? Do you think it would be possible? He suddenly said, it's interesting, I think so. And in the evening, when we met at dinner, he says, I've talked to my people with my team. No, it's impossible now. If he had said yes, the process of rapprochement would have begun, and eventually it could have taken place if we had seen a sincere desire of our partners to do this.
These revelations come from detailed notes taken by Strobe Talbot, then Deputy Secretary of State and fluent in Russian, who served as the American note-taker during the summit. The documents show Putin in what the National Security Archive describes as his most cooperative and pro-Western period, hoping for full integration of Russia into the European security system and even NATO. Clinton emphasized his desire for cooperation, stating,
I understand that for many Russians, NATO still has a negative connotation. However, I hope that you will see that Central European states do not feel threatened by Russia. We want to be helpful.
Since that pivotal conversation in 2000, NATO has expanded 6 times, adding 12 more countries. Putin has repeatedly cited this expansion as a source of Russian grievance.
After wave of expansion, we were constantly told, you shouldn't fear this, it poses no threat to you. They simply dismissed our concerns, refusing to acknowledge or even consider our position.
Had Russia actually joined NATO in 2000, the entire trajectory of 21st century geopolitics would have been fundamentally different. This alternate history would have created what analysts call a super NATO spanning the Northern Hemisphere, fundamentally altering global power dynamics. The military implications alone would have been staggering. A NATO-Russia alliance would have combined the alliance's existing 3.5 million military personnel with Russia's 1.5 million, creating a force of 5 million troops. The combined land area would have reached 16.3 million square miles, with a total population exceeding 1.1 billion people. Most significantly for global security, nuclear arms reduction could have accelerated dramatically. With the United States and Russia, each possessing approximately 5,600 nuclear warheads, their alliance could have enabled reductions to perhaps 1,000 warheads each, eliminating roughly 75% of the world's nuclear weapons. The economic transformation would have been equally profound. Russia's integration into Western institutions would have opened its vast natural resources to stable international investment. Combined oil reserves of the United States and Russia would have reduced global dependence on Middle Eastern energy, potentially stabilizing prices worldwide. Regional conflicts that have defined the past 2 decades might never have occurred. The 2008 Georgia War, the 2014 Ukraine crisis, and the current conflict in Ukraine could all have been prevented. If Russia were in NATO, further enlargement to Ukraine or Georgia would not have been seen as zero-sum, and Ukraine's own pivot to the West could have unfolded without violent opposition. The alliance's strategic focus would have shifted entirely. Rather than containing Russia, NATO would have redirected its attention toward emerging threats from China, Iran, and North Korea. Military resources currently stationed in Central and Eastern Europe would have been redeployed to the Mediterranean, the Caucasus, Central Asia, and potentially the Russian-Chinese border. This transformation would have required significant commitments from Russia. The country would have needed to implement robust democratic reforms, establish clear civilian control over its military, and align its defense policies with NATO standards. Russia would likely have faced requirements to resolve territorial disputes and withdraw forces from places like Moldova and Georgia. For Putin personally, NATO membership would have provided unprecedented security guarantees and access to Western military technology and intelligence sharing. Russia would have gained greater political influence in shaping transatlantic security, likely securing a permanent seat at the table in decision-making on European and global security matters. The ripple effects would have extended far beyond Europe. Other nations, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand, might have sought closer ties with this expanded alliance. Meanwhile, China would have faced a fundamentally different strategic environment, potentially constraining its regional ambitions decades earlier. However, the obstacles to such integration were formidable. Many NATO members, particularly former Warsaw Pact countries, would have demanded ironclad assurances that Russia wouldn't use membership to paralyze the alliance from within. The skepticism shown by Clinton's team reflected genuine concerns about Russia's commitment to democratic values and cooperative security. Today, as Putin's Russia remains isolated and the war in Ukraine continues, these declassified documents serve as a reminder of a brief historical moment when a different path seemed possible. The question remains whether such an opportunity will ever present itself again, and whether future leaders on both sides will have the vision to pursue genuine partnership over perpetual confrontation.